Hey, it's James from Electrical. On today's video, we're wiring a Y-plan heating system. So let's get into this. Alright, so we're just going to the job then. We've got a little helper. Alright, so this is Zach. Hello. You're lovely, aren't you? No. Lovely dog, so he's the guard dog for the street. So he just chills out here, it's pretty cool. I thought it escaped, but apparently he just roams about. That's nice, isn't it? It's got a little helper today. So then, this is the boiler, which we're messing on with. We've got this is the condensate pump, so we've got the boiler condensate pumps, that's by Boss. And then we've got a little 7-day program to fit in like an airing cupboard, so we'll show you that in a bit. So first thing you want to do when you come to these kind of jobs, you want to identify what systems they've got, and then you can decide the wiring of it. So there's different types of wiring, so you get like an S-plan wiring, you get Y-plan wiring, and then you get like different protections, like frost protection, or like in this case you've got a condensate pump. So you just got to make sure it's all going to kind of do its thing. We'll show you how this works. We're not going to explain all the heating systems, but we're going to explain this heating system and how we're going to check the wiring and make sure everything's going to work as it should. It's a good way of checking what system it is. So if it's a combi boiler, if you go, a good way of checking, if you go to the hot tap, turn it on and it actually fires the boiler. You can hear the boiler firing, you know it's a combi boiler, and there shouldn't be like a big water tank storing hot water. If it's like the conventional system, you'll see a big water tank, you know what I mean, you won't hear the boiler fire up. So obviously I'm not a plumber, but that's just the way I do it. So plumbers out there, don't be giving me any hate. So yeah, we're just going to take a look in the airing cupboard and see what system's going on then, and see how it's wired. So it's either like 2 S-plans or like a Y-plan, so we'll see what's going on. So if we want to use the airing cupboard, here's a big tank of water. So that's how you know it's not a combi, it's one of the conventional systems. And if you look at this pipe here, this is a Y-plan. So as you can see, it's like a Y, there we go. But if it was an S-plan, all you'd see is just a pipe coming into a valve and then out your valve. Because it's got this T shape or Y shape, you know it's a Y-plan. So we need to be looking at the Y-plan wiring for this. So you got your pump down here. So when the boiler turns on, the pump turns on. So that's what that is. This is a cylinder stat. So this basically kicks out once the tank gets to temperature. So at the moment it's set to about 70 degrees, if you see that. 69, 70 degrees. Here's your wiring centre, so all them cables come back to here and kind of come in and out of here and to your boiler downstairs in the garage. And then here is your programmer, which we're going to be swapping out. This has got nothing to do with the heating system, but here's your immersion heater. So if this all conks and kicks out, then basically you can flick the switch and this will turn on and heat the tank. So you're not stuck if the heating system breaks. So best thing to do is identify what each cable does. So if you look here, here's your wiring diagram. This is your wiring centre. So all the cables come into here. So you just want to make sure you know what each cable does, and you need to check the wiring of this Y-plan system, because it could be wired wrong and then you add to it and then it's not doing what it should. So let's have a look and see what's doing what. So we'll get this opened up. Follow this one then. So this guy here is the pump. So this next one is the pump. So what this should be connected to the orange out. So basically this has got like a little micro switch. So when it calls for heat or it calls for hot water, it opens up and it hits a little micro switch, and then once it's fully open, this orange one will kick in. So that yellow one will probably go back to the boiler in downstairs, and this brown one, which is connected to this white one, turns on the pump. So once it's fully open, the pump kicks in. So you don't want the pump to kick in if this isn't fully open, because it's just going to cause a lot of strain if this is just closed, this valve. And then you next to go to this cylinder stat. So basically the best way to do the heating system is to take each cable in line, follow it on the diagram, and then to make sure it's wired correctly. But you just do one cable at a time. Obviously this looks like a big bundle of mess, but if you just take it a cable at a time, check the wiring of it, then you know it's correctly. So you can quite easily lose track of what's what. So we'll open this up and just check the wiring of that. Let's pull his little wheel off. There we go. There's a little screw there, so we'll unscrew that next. There we go, that just slides off there. And then we lift with these connections. So it's got an earth, because this thing's metal. And then you've basically got 3 terminals there. So you got a common, normally closed, normally open, basically. So we'll come on to that later, we'll cover it up so you can't get access to live terminals. But yeah, we'll come to that when we check that in the wiring diagram actually. So then we'll bring the wiring diagram up and we'll whip this off as well. There we go, here is the programmer then. This is the wiring behind it. So you've just got neutral, live coming in, and then you've got a few outgoings there. So you can see that blue, red and yellow. So then, I think best bet, we will open this up and just check that those cables are going to, they should come down to here, but we'll check what cores they are. So we can find the cores here and then figure out which terminals are which. Right then, so that's off now. So we're going to just tally them up. So we've got 1, 3 and 4. If you look at that 3 core on earth, that just goes down to the bottom here. So I've just told that out with my testers. So it goes to this terminal here, this blue. So that's 1, 3 and 4. So what we're going to do is just go through each of these outgoings and make sure it's wired correctly. So we just brought up the wire plan diagram there. So if you look at that, that's for, it's got the 3-port valve, if you see. So we just need to check this is wired correctly. So if we follow number 1 first, so 1 comes along and into terminal 7, and that should be connected to the grey of the 3-port valve. So let's check that. So number 1, this blue one, and it's connected into the grey of the 3-port valve, so that's correct. And then let's go to the next bit, and then from the terminal 7 here, it goes to the normally closed terminal of 2 on the cylinder stat. So we'll check that. So have a look, this blue one is this blue 3 core here. We'll follow that down. So in here, this is your 3 core on earth. Let's have a look. So the blue is in terminal, let's have a look. It says 3, terminal 3 in here, which is the normally open, so that's wired incorrect. So what we need to do is make, I think brown there is terminal, have a look, it's terminal 2, and here terminal 2 said it's normally closed, so the brown needs to connect onto the grey here. So have a look, so this 3 core, this brown needs to connect onto the grey, and the grey needs to be, the blue needs to be connected onto this brown one. So we'll just make that adjustment. Right, then I'll swap that over now. So the grey now goes to the brown. So, and let's have a look. Yeah, so number 1 goes to the grey of the 3-port valve, and it goes down this brown, and that brown goes to terminal 2, which is the normally closed. So let's check that. So it goes grey in. So 1 to grey to the grey of the 3-port valve, terminal 7. 7 goes to the normally closed number 2, so that's correct. So now we'll check the other side. So the normally open number 1 should go straight to the pump. The blue now, which is coming back, goes straight to orange of the boiler, which is right. Sorry, of the, well, basically once this opens, it sends the live to this terminal, so that's correct, and then that goes out to your boiler downstairs, that yellow one. Lovely, so that's wired correctly now. So now we'll just move on to number 3, which is that one there, terminal 3. Terminal 3 here, if you follow that, comes along up to 6 and then over to common, so we'll check that. So number 3 coming in, which we've told 3, comes into that brown, and that goes down here and into common, so that's correct. That's that one, and then we've got finally number 4. So let's follow 4, it runs along up to 4, well, and connecting onto that cable, which goes to the live side of the room stat. So where's that? Number 4, which is this guy here, this yellow one, that connects to your room stat. So we'll need to check that is the room stat, so we'll have to open it up and see if that red cable here, if you look at that, that red cable here is the room stat. Obviously if it is, it'll go to the room stat, click in and back down the yellow if it's calling for heat. Let's just carry on this, we'll check that in a bit. So obviously it comes back with this switch live here, it's a terminal 5, so that room stat should come along, connect into 5 and power up the white one. Let's check that one. The room stat comes back, powers up the 5 of it, goes to the white one. However, I just noticed this blue one's connected into there, and it's not even in use, that one. So let's pull that blue one out. It's a bit dodgy in it. So what we're going on there, when the thermostat kicks in, now when the thermostat kicks in, this cable will come in live. However, it's not actually going anywhere. If you look here, on here, it's actually just a loose end. So you would have had a live cable just sticking out there, not actually doing anything, just being live, so you could have touched that and got a shock. That's not good, is it? Right then, so we've amended that as well. There we go. So next thing to do is check the, what is it? The permanent lives and the neutrals then. So the thermostat doesn't need a neutral, as you can see. It's just mechanical one, so they haven't connected that in. So that's that. Neutral to your programmer, which we know we've got, because it's permanent live and neutral in, and then all it does is just go permanent live and neutral. So the live just sits there because nothing needs a live. So if you look here, your permanent live is this terminal 1, and this doesn't need to be powered up permanently. So that's that. And what else is there? Yes, it's just a programmer. The fuse spur and the boiler just needs permanent live. Obviously going to wire the condensate pump, but we'll come on to that later. And it's just the neutrals. So obviously the neutral, this is the terminal here, it's actually neutral coming in. And we've got the neutral of the pump, so that's correct. And we've got the neutral of the 3-pot valve, so that's wired correctly as well. So it looks like they've got the pumps separate. So you can see that's the pump, the level of that pump. The brown of that connects onto this red. So if you just swipe across, I've got a picture of this. There we go. So that's what it looks like down there. That's that cable. So you got your yellow. All they've done is just banged it in there for now, but we need to sort this out downstairs. And you got the red coming in. So that red is the pump, and that yellow is the switch live of the boiler. So that's that red connected to the pump, and that's the yellow of the switch live from the 3-pot valve. So at the moment they're just connected together with that little bridge. You can see that. Right then, it's not too bad really. So all you do is just, it looks like a big mess, but you've just got to study it and see what cable's doing what, and then you just take it a run at a time and just check the wiring, make sure it's wired correctly. So obviously there's a few issues with the system, and we've just corrected it. So all I have to do is get this put back together, get it attached onto here again. So that's your cylinder stat. We still need to check the thermostat, so let's make sure that's clicking in and out as it should. And then it's just wiring in the new programmer now. So now we can tie onto a good system. So before, if we would have swapped it over, it wouldn't have worked properly. Because we've checked it out, we know it's going to work as it should. So like any heating system, if we look at the diagram, it goes from your power supply to your programmer. Either it's got hot water and central heating. So it'll go from hot water to your cylinder stat. If it's this kind of system, so it'll go hot water to cylinder stat, and then out to your boiler, and your boiler kicks in. So that's kind of like the order of things. Obviously with the heating side, it'll go fuse spur, programmer to room stat, and the room stat either says, oh, we need you know, when it's cold, we need to turn it up. So if you turn it up to like past 20 or whatever, and the room temperature is like 16, it's going to send out that switch live to the boiler. Your port's going to open, click, and that orange will come live, which will turn on your boiler and your pump. So the control is the stats. So obviously when the stats get to temperature, it clicks out, and then that's it basically kills the power going to the boiler, and the boiler shuts off. So that's how it works. So all we need to do now is go into that connection below. If we have a look at, where is it? Here it is. So we need to go into that connection below in the garage, and we need to wire in the condensate pump. So this black wire here, that's all that is just it just permanently connects it. But if there's an issue with the condensate pump, it'll basically disconnect that connection and stop the boiler turning on and wrecking it. So we'll get that wired in correctly as well. So I'll bob all this back together. So before, all the cords are hanging out the bottom, so we're going to push them up, get them clamped in, and make sure there's no like singles hanging out of this box. And then all we'll do, if it's the same housing, we can just get the new controller and just clip him in, which will be nice. You have to make sure it's the same wiring though, that it's you know, in hot water, normally open, normally close, and central heating normally open, normally close. So, right, we'll do that next. Yeah, so a lot of these systems, or the actual holders, are kind of interchangeable. So we just need to check that the wiring's the same. So if you look there, it says, I don't know if it's focusing right, but it goes neutral live, and then 1's hot water off, 2's central heating off, and then 3's hot water on, and 4's central heating on. So we just need to make sure that's wired the same, and it looks the same, so that's good. So we can just use the same back plate and just hook this straight on. So let's get that hooked on now. So there we go, we're just getting clipped in now. So it's set up right, lovely. Right then, so those little pins just go into there, slot into there, and we will get this in then. So there's 2 little divots there, which hooks into there. Give it a little wiggle as you do it, and it should just slot on nicely and push in like that. And there's just 2 screws underneath. So if you look there and there, so you just bang them 2 screws in, and it'll stop it getting pulled away now. And then after that, once it's powered up, we're just going to set the times. So the customer's told me when they want it on and off. So Monday to Friday, 5 till 8, Saturday, Sunday, 7 till 9, and then 5 till 8 again, and 5 till 8 again. So there we go, let's do this. So that's this section done. So we're just going to bob downstairs, knowing that all this is wired correctly, and we can actually do the wiring downstairs, get the condensate pump wired in, and then we can start programming the programmer. There he is, little helper. How are you doing, kid? Ah, he's lovely, isn't he? Got some big paws, Zach. Alright then, let's get it wired in. Alright, so we're downstairs now. So that was that connection there. They were connected all together for your condensate pump. So what we're going to do, it's turned off at the moment obviously. All these cables just kind of come through the front. Well, they're not even coming through the box. So we'll get these cables into the box and then we'll get it wired up. Yeah, that's it then. So I couldn't remember which the pump was and which was the power coming into here. You know, when so the 3-pot valve opens, hits a little micro switch, that orange one came live, either connected onto the red or yellow. I think it was the yellow, so I'll go for that for now, but we'll have to check that. So yeah, it comes in on there, goes via your condensate pump. That should be permanently closed, that switch. So this is basically a switch, so you power it up from your spare, so that's just live at neutral, to power it up, and it just stays constant. If there's an issue, it'll break the circuit, which comes up to here, which will turn off the pump and the boiler. So that's what that is. So then we'll check the footage and see what's going on, and we'll get this put back together. Nice one. So we're back in the iron cupboard now. So that's the programmer all powered up. So what we're going to do is just get it programmed. So we'll just go into the settings and then set the different days. So at the moment it thinks, well, it's actually, let's look at the time. It's actually correct, so the time's correct on that. So it's actually it is a Friday and it's 11:20. So all we'll do is just set the different time frames, but you can actually change the actual date and time. So then all you do, so you press the set button. You can either press the yes button, so it's asking to program. You're going on holiday, set the clock, set the date. So what we're going to do is set the program. So this is say Monday to Friday. So we say yeah. So it's saying what times you want it to come on. The customer wants it on at 5. So you got a plus or minus here. So we'll just bring it all the way back to 5 AM. So we hold it down, it should go a bit quicker. So you want to see it 5 AM, so you press set. And it wants to turn off at 8. There we go. The next one is your next time period. So I think it's 3 time periods. So we'll just press OK. So it's going to go. It says 12 PM or 12 PM. So it'll turn off, turn on, and turn straight off. And your next setting then is obviously this is all for central heating. Let's have a look. This is when it's going to come on. And I want it to come on at 5. There we go. So set. And then it wants to turn off at 8. They said. There we go. So 5 or 8. Set. And now hot water. It's asking you when to set the hot water, so we'll do the same again. And there we go, that's it all set. So that's the hot water and the heating all set. So that's how you do that bit. The next thing we're going to do is check the stats are working. So we'll do the heating first. So if we just make the programmer call for heat, so that just sends a switch live to this, which goes via your stat. And we're going to go downstairs. I think it's just kicked in now actually. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's just kicked in, and the pump's just kicked in. What we'll do is turn the stat off and see if this turns off. So 2 secs. Right, I'll turn the stat off then. You can hear that clicking in and out. So we'll turn it off so it's not calling for heat, and you'll see that heating system turn off. There we go, it stopped whirring away now. So if we call for heat, it should kick in. So let's turn it back on now. And again, that's kicked back in. You can feel the pump on. So let's turn it off now. So we'll just check the hot water now. Hot water on. That should be calling. Let's have a look. It's set to 69, so it should be calling for heat. Let's have a look. Let's try and find where so the thermostat is mechanical, so you'll hear a click. Right, so that tells you. I think the wiring diagram when we did the test must have been well, not right for the system. So what we'll have to do is those, if you remember the brown and the blue from that, they need switching over, and that'll work. So we'll switch that over, but we can do that in here. So all we'll do is that brown and blue will swap back over. It's basically the common's the same, but you had like a normally closed, normally open. So for that diagram for this, it must have been wrong. So if the schematic's wrong, it's not going to do what it is. But this is how you do your checks. So obviously, when you're asking for heat, like turning it up higher, it should be kicking in, obviously. And then when it raises to temperature, it turns off. So this is how you do these checks. So there we go, that swapped over now. So the wiring diagram of this was just wrong. So basically this works now. So when you call for heat, so if you turn it down, so the temperature on there is 30 degrees, the water temperature in this tank. If you turn it lower, it's obviously not calling for heat. As soon as you call for heat, it should turn on. There we go, it turns on. So you want to set this to about 70 degrees, 69 degrees, something like that. So that's going to be the temperature for your hot water basically. Lovely, so we'll get this wired back in, well the cover on, and that's everything working. So happy days. Alright then, we'll get this put back together then. There we go, just leave a little instruction manual for him, and that's it really. So yeah, that's how we wire up the heating system. So you saw how we checked the system, kind of amended the faults. Obviously the wiring diagram wasn't right for the cylinder stat. So, but then you do your checks after to make sure everything's working as it should be. So obviously we set the timer for the programmer and tested the stats to make sure when you were calling for heat, the heating system kicked in and did what they needed to do. So yeah, that's it. So hopefully you understand a bit more about heating systems and how to wire a Y-plan heating system. So as you can see, it's a bit different to S-plan, so we'll probably do a video in the future about that. But yeah, if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you know when we next upload. As always, have a good one from me, and I'll see you on the next one.